and our Vice President of Sports for the Blind. So we'll go ahead and bring her on here in a few minutes. And thank you, Youth Berry, for being the commentator. I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. Vivian will say hello to all of you. Hello, Chris. Chris from Spokane.
Hi, this is Vivian with Sports for the Blind.
Yeah, that's one of our team members right there.
And Piano Man from, ooh, I'm getting feedback.
So am I. Okay. So Vivian, since you and I started started Sports for the Blind back in 2012, how do you think we have evolved since we started almost 9 years ago now?
I'll do that. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, because I'm saying hold my mic now. Okay, perfect.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I think we're good now.
Okay.
Troy, go ahead and ask her the question again because I think she missed it the first time.
Yeah, I think so. So Vivian, since you and I started Sports for the Blind and 9 years ago, how has it evolved for you as a member and as a officer of our organization?
Well, I tell you, when they first asked me if I wanted to join this organization and to play baseball, I thought it was a bad joke. Because they said, do you want to play baseball? And all I thought was a blind person playing baseball. Like I never heard of it. And so I decided to try it out anyways. And I remember the first time I had to run from home plate to first base, I thought, I was going to get to run with my cane or run with sighted guide or something. And so when they said, no, you're just going to run free running from home plate to first base, I was like what? Really? Did you just say what I heard you say? And I think I just probably tiptoed my whole way over there. So, I wouldn't have any trees that came into my path or anything. And it was kind of a scary time, just that real quick instant of, but it also felt really good being able to run freely from home plate to first base, without anybody and just to be listening for the sound. So it was really kind of a just a big ordeal to oh wow, I really could do that, run without anybody there. And it really has just brought, I've met a lot of wonderful people. Really before moving to Washington, I moved here from Texas. I really didn't know any other blind people, and it was really nice to be able to network with. And these are, we're all a family, and we do a lot of things together outside of sports. And I think it's been important for us to keep this organization going and to get new members and to evolve. We used to be just baseball, and we do so many other sports now. We're doing bowling in our off season. We're doing winter sports. We're doing some cross country skiing and snowshoeing. We've done some tandem biking. We have goal ball. So we've done some kayaking. So we really are trying to provide an avenue for people to participate and enjoy sports recreationally as well as competitively throughout the whole year, not just for baseball. So I think that's really been something that we can say that we're proud of. We've had this organization going for a while, and there's other similar organizations that are really on a competitive, and that's all they do is baseball. But that kind of excludes, people that are not necessarily interested in baseball, or, we don't do the competitive part as a competition. There is a World Series for the baseball for the blind, but that's a week-long tournament, and it costs a lot of money. So we never really had the funds or the sponsors to be able to do that. So we kind of evolved more into a rec leisure sports. But we have another team that we play. We've had other teams in the state of Washington, but we were the first. And it's really nice to know that 9 years later, we're still going, and we still have some of the same people that started the organization active, and that we've added so many other sports for people to participate. So, we reach out to, like I said, people that are interested in bowling, or people that are interested in going for walks or doing the kayaking. So it just gets more people involved and off the couch. And one of our main goals is to promote independence and also to get people active. Combat diabetes is a big cause of blindness. And so we want to get people active. And also, especially now during the time of COVID, staying connected and reaching out to people, knowing that, like I said, we're like a family, and we are there for each other. And we've had a lot of good times together, and we've grown as an organization and as individuals. So I'm really happy and proud to be a part of this organization.
So Vivian, I do have a quick question. How many members do you currently have?
Well, it varies, because depending, so about, on average, probably 15 to 20 members, and that includes our sighted members as well. But it varies depending on the time of the year. So we have more people playing baseball, but we've had our one of our other coaches, Chris Annis, he has got the goal ball program going, and he has several members that come out for that. So when we do the bowling, we've had lots of members that come out for that. So just depends on what sport we're doing, because not everybody's interested in every sport. So, but we are really trying to grow and trying to promote it. So any chance people get, we talk about it and invite people to come and join us. So it just really depends on what sport's going on, of how many participants that we have at that time.
And is there a particular sport that is more popular that you have found than the other ones?
Well, baseball that's usually our number one, but bowling is fast. It's growing fast behind that. Whenever we do the winter sports, we are having a lot of people that are becoming interested in that. That is something that I discovered as a blind adult. I hadn't tried cross-country skiing or snowshoeing. And so it was something that I discovered as a new sport for me. And that's also growing. So I think just in overall, it really is growing. I think baseball is still our main sport, but I think bowling is right behind it. And so are winter sports.
Nice.
So our tandem biking is pretty big, because we do it during the summertime. So I think our last one, or the one before that, we had like probably 25 to 30 people there.
Oh yeah, that's one, and it was pouring down rain. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was thunder and lightning and all that stuff. So that was a pretty good turnout for that one. That was just before we went for our first river rafting trip. Yeah. So we had a river rafting boat.
18 to 20 people with that. So
yeah, yeah, we had three big, rafting boats out there with. We had sighted and blind people in each raft, so it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Well,
so the first time that you try a new sport like river rafting, do you get really scared because you don't really know what to expect?
No, not anymore. I think that was initially for skiing. I did, yes. But I think we always make it a point to have some of our friends who are sighted and some other volunteers be a part of that with us. And like with the rafting, we did a training session with us Parks and Rec people that were going to be on that, and with the actual kayaking, the people that were going to be on the different rafts, the captains and the sighted people, of just how to direct us for the different strokes to use, and in case of somebody goes in the water, what we need to do. And so we really do try to promote safety, and we do try to train the people that are working with us, our friends and different volunteers that we have participating in each event.
So this is the Sports for the Blind logo. Those of you that would like to check it out, Troy, can you drop your web address?
Oh yeah.
And I'll promote it now, because we were getting ready to order some zipper hooded sweatshirts. So
Nice.
if you're interested, you can send Troy a message at email, and that's in the works. So we can let you know when he's on again, when those are available. But hopefully before the end of the month or by the first week of March, we might have those ready. So yeah, so they're going to be fun. That's a fun logo that we have. So yes.
Nice. Yes. So they're going to be getting hoodies really soon. So Vivian, of all the sports that you guys have participation with, what is your personal favorite?
Well, my personal favorite is baseball. I used to play baseball before I lost my vision, and I really enjoy that. But I tell you, winter sports are coming in second, and I'm from Texas, so that's kind of odd because it's pretty cold to be out there. I got to get out there at I think at the beginning of January, and we went out for a cross country ski date, and I was able to do 7K, which I had never been able to do. So it's quickly becoming in second place, or one of my favorites. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So I hope I'm not overstepping, but I was wondering, with your sight, are you completely blind, or do you have a certain percentage of vision left?
All I have right at this point is some light perception. So I will see some light, and I will see some shadows or some dark and light contrast, but I can't make out any details. For me, my vision is like looking through a dirty aquarium, a really murky. I have no details, can't see people's faces, can't recognize anything, just a little bit of, like I said, light and dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have a guide dog?
I do not. I have, I use a long white cane, and I have people that I go and do activities with, that I do sighted guide with. I kind of go back and forth between a guide dog, but at this point I have not made up my mind to get one. I've convinced other people.
So let's just go a little bit further. So we've done fundraising for all of our years. And this past year, we've had issues with our fundraising because we can't go out with the COVID and all that stuff. So we have had some donations the past year, but what do you hope for us to do for fundraising, Vivian, in this next year when everybody can get out of it?
Well, we're hoping to, we normally have a pancake breakfast that we do in the fall, and we've had that for a few years with Applebee's, and we're hoping to be able to do that again as well. I don't really know. We're just kind of see where this year goes. Maybe a raffle, maybe some of the proceeds from the hoodies. We've done some T-shirts before. I haven't gotten that far yet because we're still in COVID, but we're trying. We do also reach out to eye doctors and different ophthalmologists and the Spokane Eye Clinic, and we've had some generous donations from those guys, as well as the Lions Club have been big sponsors, and so we continue to talk with them and to get them involved. And we had a Lions Day right before COVID, or last 2 years ago, I guess now, we had a Lions Day, and so they came out and played baseball against us. And so we're hoping to do some of that, continue to do the outreach and seek donations that way. So it's very much still in the works, and but definitely we do use donations. We were able to do, one of our big fundraisers was wrapping gifts at Christmas time for Cabela's. Mm-hmm. And we did that for like 2 weekends in a row, and we did really well. But they've changed their guidelines, so they're not allowing outside people to do that. So we're looking for fundraisers. So hopefully, candy sales and other
creative
other items. So yes.
Yeah, you definitely have to get creative, especially with COVID.
Yes, right. Yep.
So a couple of comments, or not comments, but just a lot of highs in the room. There's Debbie McCabe. She's coming in. I'm in Maine, and we got Takara. We have Vince. We have just people that have been saying hi, and I didn't want to interrupt you. So sorry, guys. We're not trying to ignore you here. We're just, I just didn't want to interrupt.
Well, hello to everybody, and thank you for joining us. Yeah, it's good to have everybody on with us.
So those of you that are not quite sure what's going on, this is Troy, and Troy is the president of the Sports for the Blind organization. And right here, this is our VP. This is Vivian. And those of you that do not know what Sports for the Blind is, it's exactly what it says. It's sports for the blind, trying to give them a regular life, even though some are completely visually impaired, and some have, 20, 30, 60% of their sight left. And they try to just give a normalcy to live a fulfilling life. And it's when I was first introduced to Troy, I was a little shocked because I wasn't quite sure what to expect. And he asked me to look up some stuff, and I didn't know who he was, and I refused to look them up because I thought he was trying to get me to see some porn site. So I'm like, I'm not looking that up. I don't know who you are. No way, Jose. And he says, go on YouTube. I swear, go on YouTube. Check out Beep Baseball. So I'm like, what am I gonna? And I watched one YouTube about Beep Baseball. It was almost kind of like a long documentary, and I was quite shocked. At to me it just sounded impossible. What do you mean you're gonna play baseball? You're blind. You can't see. And until I actually saw the video and the way that they have it set up is, everything it's in a big wide open field. Instead of running to the base, you have this, what is it called, Troy? It's like a cone, but it's this blue cushion.
Oh, the base? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, this is what it looks like. It looks like that.
Yeah, the base is about 4 foot tall, and it's a cylinder with a square bottom to hold it up. And there's a wire that runs from the base all the way behind home plate. So one person can control first and third base, and whatever base goes on is the base that they run to, and it buzzes, and then the ball beeps. So it's a different sound from each other, so that the outfielders know that they need to go for the ball, and the buzzing base is for the batter that hit the ball.
Right. And so, Troy, I'm going to put a photo of this baseball, and you explain to them how this ball works, because I don't think a lot of people understand.
Okay. Well, this is the base that I see right now.
Oh,
right there.
Sorry.
There we go. Okay, so the ball has a speaker on one side, and then there are electronics in the ball. They hollow out the ball for electronics to go in it, and then on the other side of the speaker, there's a charging port or a pin port that when you're out on the field, you pull the pin out, and the pin begins. Once you pull the pin, it starts beeping the ball. There's the pin right there. If you can see that, it's the plastic pin. You pull that pin, it starts beeping, and then the batter isn't worried about the beeping. The batter is actually worried about the buzzing base. They don't need to focus on that, because the pitcher, the batter, and the catcher are on offense, and the defense is all the outfielders.
Really fascinating.
If you get to the base before they feel the ball, that's considered a run. So, yeah.
Yeah, we don't go to first base or to second base to third base to home. It's just to one base, and that's it. So.
Right. And what's also interesting, as you see, the pitcher is actually sighted, right? Because he has to be able to put the ball into the glove. The catcher is also sighted. Yes, Troy?
Yes.
Okay. And so you see right here in this particular photo, you have the batter, and he is blindfolded. Whether he is 60% vision or completely blind or 20% vision, everybody has to wear a blindfold because it evens out the playing field for everybody.
Correct. Yeah.
And then, so Troy, explain about the outfielders and the spotters and how that works.
I'll let Vivian explain that to you.
Okay, sounds good.
So
Okay.
we have 6 people out in the field, and you are fielding the ball. You can use a glove, but for the most part, they do not use a glove. And you have to field the ball, and you have to raise the ball up in the air, have control of it, and say, got it, before the runner gets to the base to constitute an out. And you get 3 outs. And just like in regular baseball, we play 6 innings. And you have to communicate out there. So you have to, if you're going for the ball, you have to say, going for it, my ball, you know, and then you have to say, got it, really loud so that the ump hears you before that person gets to the base. And really, communication is key out there since you cannot see, you're blindfolded. You want to make sure that again, safety is an issue out there, and that people are going for it, but they hear you if you're going for the ball. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And if you get a home run, which is 170
feet.
170 feet, 170 feet, then you get the point for the home run, and then you also get an additional point if you make it to the base before they field the ball. So you can get 2 points for home run. If you catch a fly ball, which has been done, I believe, 5 times in World Series play, then you retire the whole side, regardless of how many outs they have. So if they only have 1 out and somebody catches a fly ball, then that side is retired, and then the next team is up to bat. So it's a lot of fun. It's challenging for sure. And it can get pretty dangerous at times out there.
It's competitive. I can imagine how competitive.
And it is a competitive sport. Like I said, there is a World Series for it. It's an international sport. There are teams from Taiwan that come out to the World Series every year. I believe now there's a couple in British Columbia. And so probably 32 plus teams across the international. I think now there's 32 plus teams. So it is very competitive. And like I said, it's a week-long tournament when they have the World Series, and it rotates in different parts of the United States. So if you haven't gone on YouTube, you can go under the National Beat Baseball Association and look up World Series, and you can really see how competitive and how grueling the sport can get. When it first was introduced in the 70s, the players were all padded up, and they could only walk to the base, and they couldn't run. And people thought, well, this is not going to be very fun. People are not going to partake in that. So then they really changed it, and it evolved to what it is today. So yes.
Here's a good question. So for the visually impaired that gets involved with Sports for the Blind, do their spouse usually get involved, or their boyfriend, their sighted spouse and boyfriends, girlfriends, do they usually get involved?
Many times, yes. My husband has pitched for us on numerous occasions. One of our blind gals, her husband had pitched for us. She was on our board, but she wasn't even a player, and he pitched for us for many seasons. And it's a good way to get family members involved. Troy's granddaughter, and they come out and help. They volunteer. So it's a good way for the kids to come out. They volunteer to get the ball, or to sometimes run, or to field. So we encourage families to come out, and we really encourage to play sighted people as well, because it's an awareness time for us to raise the level of awareness of blindness in the community. And so we like to play softball teams, or other clubs, or just other families. And we've had different organizations come out and play us, and everybody has to go under blindfold so they get the full experience.
Got it. So we do have a question from the audience. This is VS, like Victoria's Secret's VS, and he asks, do you have a favorite baseball player, sighted or non-sighted?
Do we have, I'm sorry, more?
Do you have a favorite baseball player?
That's on the team, VS, or that's normal league?
That's on a regular baseball league. I'm really bad with names. So Troy, I'll let you answer that.
I don't watch baseball myself. I'm not a baseball watcher. I was volunteered back in 2012 to coach the team, and I've been the coach ever since. And Vivian is kind of assistant coach. So we've spent so much time together with doing stuff for Sports for the Blind. It used to take us forever to set up for a fundraiser or set up for a game or a practice or whatever. And now we just put the gear in the car and, we get to the field or get to where we're going, and we both know what each other's going to do. Plus our volunteer that we usually have with us, she knows what everybody's doing at the time that whatever we're doing. We kind of read each other in a way, I guess is what you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and we had a young gal. Well, she was one of our older players, and unfortunately, she passed away last year. But she would faithfully listen to all. She knew all the players, all the scores, and she was one of our old. She was 62, 63 years old, and she would get out there and she would play with us and stuff. But she did definitely. That was one of her passions, was to listen to baseball, because she was totally blind, but she really enjoyed just listening to every game that was out there that she could pick up on. She was always listening to the game. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about Christina for a minute. So back in, I think it was 2013 or 14, we had a NPR story that went national for our team. So our story went from just our Spokane area to national, and one of Christina's relatives from Wyoming heard it and called her, and then she called me, and then that's how she got involved. And when she was part of our team, when she first started, she would have us. She would want us to pamper her. I need a water. I need this. I need that. I need this. And over the years, we just kind of told her, you know where your water is. You go get it now. We're not going to baby you anymore. You've been here for 2 years. Now you need to go do it yourself. I mean,
Right.
It's just that way with some people. They want you to do everything for them. And after a while being on the team and, you get to know the person and stuff like that, you can tell the person without offending them to go do it themselves.
And that's one of our big missions, is to promote independence, and people have to get to the field or the bowling alley or the kite, wherever we're meeting, and they have to find transportation. If it means calling up one of our volunteers or one of our friends, or taking the regular bus or taking paratransit. So that's part of it, is, getting to where you need to be, just making people accountable and responsible for that. And, we're Christina's family. She has a cousin here who is now one of our good friends and involved with the team. But for Christina, she had no other family for a while, and being part of the team was all her family. So, that's what I mean. We're really a family. We network together, and we're there for each other through thick and thin. So it's really a nice community.
So with COVID and everyone's cooped up indoors, what types of creative ways are you coming up to get the community together so that they can remain somewhat active, even though you can't all get together? What types of creative ways have you guys come up with?
Well, it's not sports, but it's community. And we play Farkle, which is a dice game, every week. And sometimes we have 6 people on. Sometimes we've had more than 6 people. But it's, again, a way to stay connected. Some of us have continued to do like walks in small groups. Every other weekend we do a walk. In fact, we just did one today, and it was like 19, 20 degrees out, pretty cold, but it was nice. And we're hoping to do more, and we're hoping this year that we can. And we've done bowling in the when it has opened up, just briefly. We were able to get out there and just go under different guidelines, and 2 people per lane, and we had a few people that would come out, and So just trying to promote as much as we can within the guidelines. So
Got
hoping
it.
to hoping to promote maybe some winter sports now that things are opening up a little bit with COVID.
So now, Vivian, I do have another question for you.
Yeah.
Out
Wait,
of the,
sorry, hold on.
okay.
Banner, before we get too far behind, Bannerman gave you a great interview award. Eric Levitt says hello, and G Garcia, well, we just call her Gigi. She also says hi to you guys.
Well, hello, and thank you so much. And we appreciate you guys being here with us today. Thank you.
Go ahead, Troy. Sorry.
Okay. So now, out of the different organization groups, businesses that we have played baseball with, which one would you say would be the favorite, or the most favorite? Myself, I like the Rough Riders motorcycle group, and I like the Russian. What was it? What was it called? The World something. I don't remember what it was.
It was for accessibility with athletics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really fun.
Those are my two favorite, but
I think when we first got started and we were playing more of the softball teams, and we played the ASA, we played a league from the ASA softball organization. I thought that was really great, but I really have enjoyed our rivalry with the teams on the other side of the state, or with Tacoma, with Seattle, and so I really have enjoyed those rival games.
Very nice. So creative ways of fundraising in the pandemic. That's a tough one, right?
That is, yeah.
I've been thinking about it, but the only thing that I could think of is kind of what I've always done. It was just to have a bake sale and say, buy my cookies. But I don't know if that's something that you would be interested in, but definitely, when I've been broadcasting or live streaming for about almost 6 years now, and I've kind of have a loyal group of followers. And when I come around and I make these cookies, I always sold out. And so I'm wondering if that's something that Troy could do.
Yeah, we'll get Troy to bake the cookies.
Yes.
you guys would have bricks.
Yes. Make
You
sure you
guys
guys
would have bricks if
central
it was
plan.
needed.
We did actually do one in the fall, and that actually went really well. And it was our first time to do a popcorn, a virtual popcorn sale. So no needing to go door to door, call people up. They just go, you set up an account, and they go to you let people know, to go to the link, and then they just purchase, and it goes directly to them. So I'm a member of other organizations, and we've done some of that, ordering wreaths and candy sales that way. And that's actually been pretty successful. So we will probably maybe do another one of those kind of sales where it's just, people go to a link and they place orders, and then items are shipped directly to them. And it's kind of a nice way. You don't have to go, like I said, mess with money or mess with sales or mess with delivering. So we're looking into other options in that. But bake sale, maybe we could. Jeanette, we have one of our good buddies, Jeanette, and she does a lot of baking chocolate chip cookies. So maybe we can get her to bake some for us and do.
And then Troy, you got to be the cookie man now.
Those are good ideas, and but we have to. I don't know. I think Chris is still on. We'll get Chris to do some baking with us as well. So.
Yeah. Chris Fortensky, that's on down in the chat. I don't know if he still is. He's part of our baseball team and does bowling and stuff like that with us as well.
Yep, and he does the Farkle every weekend too. So yes, yep, yes.
So I'm interested in Farkle. I have no idea what it is, how it's played, Is it a do you keep score? Is there a winner, or is it just we're just doing it for socialization and we don't really keep score?
There's score. There's score.
What is it?
So have you heard of Zonk or 10,000?
No, I have never heard of that.
Okay, it's a dice game, and you play with 6 dice, and you roll. You try to get like 3 of a kind, or you try to get like 3 pairs or a straight. And as long as you're scoring, you can continue to roll, and you can keep all of, let's say you had 5 dice that scored, you can keep a part of that score and then throw the rest back in and roll again to try to improve your score. But then if you don't get something that scores a 1, a 5, or 3 of a kind in the next in the next roll, then you lose whatever points you had just for that roll. We did play a few weeks ago where if you farkled 3 times in a row, you lose all your points and you go back down to 0. And we had one guy that was close to winning. He was close to 10,000 points, and he got his 3rd farkle, and he had to start all over with 0. But yeah, it's a dice game, and if you don't have dice, then we do have a couple people that will roll virtually. They have the virtual dice rollers on, and yeah, you take score, you go to 10,000. And we play that you can't go over. So that's when it gets tough, when you get close and you can't go over, because then for some reason, of course, you're going to get those big rolls that you can't use at that time. And then other people will catch up at that time. So, but it's a lot of fun. And it's, yes, definitely for socialization and keeping people connected. So, yeah.
And just like any competitive game, are there any smack talk?
Oh, of course.
Of course.
So you guys don't hold back.
She's the Farkle queen.
I'm the Farkle queen, and I demanded for that title. I should have the sash and the tiara to go with it.
Vivian's the Farkle queen. Yeah, that's what she just said. It sounds like a fun game.
Yeah.
Someone says it's almost like Yahtzee. I have
Kind
never
of like, yeah.
Nancy, I have never played Yahtzee, so I wouldn't know.
Well, you know what? We need to just get you over that, and we need you to join in with us. We will give you the Zoom link. You can email Troy for the Zoom link, and you can join us next week for a game of Farkle or one of these Saturdays. So, yeah.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
We might create a monster. Who knows?
I know. I might be coming back every week trying to dominate.
Yeah. You know, and like I said, we do things outside of our sports, before COVID, we would get together once, maybe twice a month and go karaokeing. And like I said, we've become a family, and it's good for everybody to be able to network with each other. Our youngest now is how old? 21, I believe, 22. And our oldest, well, probably, I don't know, 61, 62 maybe.
Wow.
And that's between our friends, our sighted members, as well as our blind members. So we have a wide range. We had a sports day for the blind a couple years ago, and we had introduced some youth to the blind soccer. Yeah, we're a little too old for that. They do great, but I'm a little too old for that one. It's too much activity going on at the same time. It could be very dangerous, but yeah. But so we try to encourage and trying to get younger people involved as well. So when we have opportunities to bring them along, we really try to encourage that. So
I do have a question about blind soccer. How does that work? How do you know where the ball is? How do you know which direction to run in? And isn't there the element that you're going to be running and you're going to run into somebody, and that somebody is not going to know.
Exactly.
Troy is certified, so he can answer that.
How do you juggle that?
So in the soccer ball, there's some it's almost sounds like nails in it, but it's like pins in the soccer ball, and it's a regular soccer ball. They just put pins in it, so when the soccer ball gets kicked, the pins roll around in the ball and you can hear it. So if you look it up on YouTube, you can look up 5-a-side blind, and you'll see it's a Paralympic sport is what it is. So 2 years through, no, must have been 4 years ago. I think 4 years ago, I went to Clemson University. They trained me and one of our other members of Sports for the Blind to be a coach of 5-a-side, which is blind soccer. So they trained us, and the reason why they didn't just train us, they trained like 25 of us, but they're trying to get a blind soccer team for the United States, because in 2028, the Paralympics is going to be in LA.
Oh, cool.
And and the United States does not have a blind soccer team. The blind soccer people that play blind soccer in the United States, they go to other countries and are part of their team. So we're trying to get younger kids, 10, 11, 12 years old. So when they're 20 and 28 and 28, let's just say they're 20, they're at their prime.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm not at my prime, and yeah.
Okay, now.
I'm past my prime.
I guess I'm not at my prime either.
Okay, but wait, you still didn't I'm confused with soccer. So you have all these kids, boys and girls, are running on the field, and you hear the pins rattling in the ball, so you know where the ball is, but isn't it fearful that you're gonna go run right into somebody? What
Yeah.
is what do you, how does it go?
The people that are running after the person that has the ball, they're saying voy, 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 which I can't remember what that means.
I'm going here at, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I guess I can't remember what
I'm
that
going
means.
at you. I'm coming at you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're saying voy while they're running to catch the ball. So the person with the ball can hear them, but then once they get close enough to touch the player, then they don't have to say anything. Then they're just trying to fight for the ball to get control of it. They have walls around the soccer field so that if the soccer ball doesn't go off of the field.
Okay.
Walls around the soccer field. Okay. And then the goals are the goalies are partially sighted or blind, but usually they're partially sighted. And then they have a goal coach behind it for the opposite team, either clapping or whistling, making some sort of noise so that the player that has the ball knows where they're going to kick the ball to.
Right.
And so when the ball stops, now this is crazy for the officials, but when the ball stops rolling, it stops making noise. So the official that's out on the field has to go and grab the ball and shake it, and then it's like a free for all. Everybody goes towards that ball, so it's just like that's a little dangerous.
That's crazy.
But and you are traveling with your hands out in front, like almost like a pyramid, like a triangle in front of you, holding them out.
You can't see me, but your arms are out in front of you.
Okay.
And they're connected your hands are connected there. So it's like a kind of like a blocking. So you're not going to run face first into a person, but it's just to give you a blocking as you're running or as you're traveling with the ball, so you do have that, but it's still, like I said, it's for the younger kids.
Yes, it is for the younger kids.
When you are 5 feet and you have the person that you're trying to guard is much taller than you, then you're blocking. It doesn't matter. You're just gonna kind of feel like you're gonna get run over there. So.
Yeah. Now, Vivian, I find when I find blind people, like on the bus or on the, wherever I'm at in the stores or whatever, I'll go and ask them if they ever heard of, blind sports or, blind baseball or any kind of blind event. And usually they will say no. So then I give them my information and all that. But a lot of the people that I talk to are afraid that they're going to get hurt playing a sport or doing an activity.
Right.
Do you find that as well?
I do. Yes, I do. Starting with myself. when I first, you asked me to run from home plate to first base, I was just like, you want me to do what? But I do find that. And that a lot of times, what we have found, especially with people in their 50s, 60s, there were not sports available when they were growing up. They were many times on the side. Sports for blind individuals. They were many times that they were on the sidelines attending their siblings' games, but never really an opportunity for them to participate in sports. So if you've never really participated, if you haven't had the chance, opportunity to participate, and you've only been on the sidelines, when you ask somebody to come out and do sports, it's just like, yeah, they kind of have a fear of like, yeah, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to get hurt. And that goes back to like when they first started baseball, they had it. It was the players were so padded and they couldn't run. They had to just walk to the base, because again, they were trying to protect these poor little blind people, and it really has evolved. And I just participated a couple weeks ago. There's a group called Ski for Light, and it is a Nordic ski program that they have every year in different parts of the States. And I mean, there was blind people that were, climbed Mount Everest, the blind people that did all kinds of sports, and you're just like, wow, but it is. I think it can be a little frightening at first if you've never had that opportunity, and if you've kind of been sheltered a little bit growing up, so that you won't get hurt. You don't get to, do go out and ride a bike. You don't get to run. You don't get to do that. And so, yes, I have definitely run into that when I talk about blind sports.
Is we have a comment. Well, it's not a comment. It's just information from VS. He says hashtag test 5 aside blind soccer, also known as 5A side soccer or football 5A side, is an adaptation of soccer for athletes with a visual impairment. The sport has been governed by the International Blind Sports Federation, IBSA, since 1996 and is played with modified FIFA FIFA rules. That's interesting.
Yeah. And you'll find all kinds of YouTube videos on it. I did find blind tennis on YouTube.
Oh, interesting.
That was pretty interesting.
There's blind basketball. There's blind hockey. So really, you just need some kind of your equipment needs to be modified, adapted so that it has some kind of sound that they can zoom into and listen, focus on to, and then just a little bit of modification to be able to play most games, so it's out there.
And now I don't think we got into your story on how you became blind, Vivian. Would you like to tell the people how?
Sure.
All that or not?
Sure,
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah. So I lost my vision first in 1988, and I lost it to a vaccination. I know that during this time of COVID, that's a tough consideration to take it or not. But within 10 days after taking a vaccination, I went from 20/20 to total blindness. I didn't have any light perception or anything at that time. After lots of prayers and procedures later, I did regain a lot of my vision, and then only to lose it again because of the procedures that I had. I developed scar tissue in the back of my eye, and I developed glaucoma secondary. So I did lose it again gradually, and only this time, like I said, I do have light perception, so it's not total darkness. It was a real transition for me. I had just graduated from college and was starting, my adult life and to work. And like I said, I really didn't know anybody that was blind, and I didn't know what to expect. I did have a great family and husband that were very supportive. And then I did start to become involved with the Department of Services for the Blind and receive services, and went to a rehab for 6 weeks. So I was kind of like just saturated in that, and had to live really as a blind person with the blind community and learn how to do pretty much everything all over again. I went from being able to use a computer as a regular sighted user to then a low vision using magnification, changing different color schemes, to now pretty much I just use everything in audio format. And but I right now I am a vision rehab instructor. That is my job. I've been doing that for about 6 years, and So I get to now help people that are going through a transition and vision loss to learn how to do and to adapt, use technology. And I guess if there's any good time to be a blind person, now is a good time because the technology has evolved such, and the opportunities are really, they're out there, they're available, and they allow blind individuals to do pretty much everything that their sighted peers do, with the smartphones and screen readers and different apps that are out there. So my life is very full. It's good. I do a lot of things. Like I said, even new things now as a individual who's blind that I hadn't done as a sighted person. And I'm taking guitar now for a year. And like I said, I started doing the cross country skiing. I teach technology and daily living skills. So it has definitely been an eye opener for sure. And, just learning how to live as a blind person and moving out here to Spokane was a big plus in allowing me to do that, because I was kind of forced to be in this situation and be independent. Whereas home, I had my support network and I had my family. And when we moved here, my husband was going to work, my daughter was going to school. And I was just like, staying at home is just not who I am. I want to get out in the community and do things and be a part and learn. So it's been a transition for me, but it's been a good transition. And like I said, I get to teach people now that are also kind of going through that as well, and help them get to be independent and get to learn how to do things in their life as a blind individual. So yes.
So when you first had your thing going on with the immunization, and then you went blind.
Yes.
I know a lot of people that have, were fully sighted and then they went blind. They go into this depression, and I don't know if you went through that or not. I've been visually impaired all my life, so I haven't had that depression where I could, fully see to.
Right.
So did you go through that? I know
I did. I did, and it's a normal reaction. You do go through a grieving process, and I tell people that, even people that continue to, as their vision declines, at different stages, they will have they will go through this grieving process. You kind of have to, you grieve the person that you were, and you kind of have to, say, okay, yeah, I am that same person, but I'm going to have to learn how to do things differently. And I know some people, it's really hard, that transition. And if you don't have a good support system, it's really hard for them to get through some of that grieving process, and they get stuck in different stages. But I really did have and I still do have a really great support system. My husband is very supportive. My family at home were very supportive. And I did go through that a little bit. But I also, because it happened so fast, I think we were really trying to find out medically what was going on. And and then I really, it's just not my personality to, like I said, to stay home, I like to be challenged. I like to try new things. And I was always very independent. So it was really, really difficult for me for that short term to be dependent on people. So like I said, I did go through that for a short period of time, but then I really just had to make myself just learn how, by going to that rehab for 6 weeks. That was like a big step in that direction. When I first decided to use a cane, I was really then at that point deciding, okay, I'm a really bad sighted person, and I was trying to be a sighted person still and trying to still get around. I worked at the schools. I was a school teacher at that time. And then my husband was coming to pick me up every day. Our baby was little, and they would have to come get me from the classroom, when it was cold, rainy, whatever. Here he would come with the baby to come get me, because my classroom was like way back back portables and stuff. And I finally just said, that's just crazy. I should be able to learn how to get out of this and meet them. He shouldn't have to bring the baby out, So then I started to check into getting orientation mobility, learn how to use a cane. And then I finally said to myself, like, okay, like I said, I'm a really bad sighted person. Because I was still trying to use whatever little vision I had and trying to hold on to that. And I said, I really wanted to be then now. This is how I'm going to be. I'm going to be blind or visual, really low vision, that I'm going to just try to be the best person in that new world that I can. So then I finally gave into, okay, it is okay to ask for help when I need it. It's okay to use a cane and be visually impaired, be blind. And but it took me a little while to get to that,
I have a question in going back to the vaccine. So from the time you got the vaccine to losing your sight, then gaining it back a little and then losing it again, what is the time frame? Is it a matter of 6 months, a month?
So when I first lost my vision, it was within the incubation period after taking, within 10 days of taking the vaccination. But it was from one day to the next within those 10 days. So one day I went to bed, I was sighted. I woke up the next morning and I was blind, which was really scary.
Yes.
And then it took a year with procedures and prayers and everything before I was able to regain. And I did have a good deal of vision back that I regained, except I never was able to use my nighttime vision or my peripheral. My depth perception was always off. But then after that, it was slower, probably over, I would say like over, I don't know, maybe 8 years that it slowly progressed back to where it is now, So the second time that I lost, it was a slow progression, but I was able to drive again and I was able to do what I did. Like I said, I at that point then I would use magnification and I was low vision. I was kind of right on the borderline of being able to drive and not being able to drive. So but that was the hardest thing, I think, was giving up that part, because like I said, I was so used to just being independent, getting up and going. I had just moved back to Texas because I had been away for school and had just taken on a new job. And so the first part, it happened so fast and I didn't have really my driving, my independence that way was taken away from me so fast. I didn't have a choice in the matter. When it happened the second time, and then I think also the birth of our daughter was like, okay, I really can't be driving because I don't have control. When I would drive into the sun, it was really blinding when, it would get shadowy. I would have to call my husband and say, okay, it's just kind of shadowy. Do you mind? I'm at a meeting coming. And he would be really good about putting his bike in the car. He would ride his bike over to wherever I was and then put his bike in the car and then drive the car home. And so I finally just said, okay, I really can't, because I don't have control over the sun. I don't have control over the rain. I don't have control over how fast it gets dark, and all those conditions would put restrictions on me for driving. And so I finally said, once our daughter was born, like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore because it's, I just can't be doing that. To myself is okay, but to other people and to a new baby. So, but at that time it was easier to accept because I made the decision to give it up,
Right.
So rather than it being taken away. But
Right.
yeah, no, I mean, it definitely was a journey. Definitely was a transition.
I had asked Troy this question before about, when you're out and about, what are we doing wrong that kind of makes you annoyed at us? For example, the example that Troy gave was, if someone wanted to show him something, they would just grab his arm and just kind of drag him along.
Yeah.
What should we not do? Because we don't know any better.
Right.
We have experience with someone that is visually impaired. So what other things are we doing that is annoying? That is annoying.
Well, and I get to do this with people, because I work with the transportation people and I work with other people, and that is one of the big issues is people grabbing people and trying to assist them. So what I try to encourage people is ask before you go, and ask them if they need assistance, because you may have somebody like waiting at a street corner to cross it, and you think, oh, you see a cane and you think, okay, I'm going to grab this person and help them across the street. But maybe they're just waiting so they can hear the traffic pattern. They can get across the street okay. So I think that's a big one, is ask, and then ask how they would like to be assisted, instead of, because some people want to just tuck you under their arms and like, okay,
Yes.
come on, honey, let's walk across,
Yes.
And some people that are visually impaired and blind, it can be dangerous for a sighted person just to come up to them and grab on, to move them. So that's just kind of what I just say: ask, and then ask how you can assist them, instead of assume, ways, because some people have different ways that they like to be helped.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, this is a funny story, but when you're talking to somebody, especially like if you're in a restaurant or something, the blind person that's sitting across from you, or you're standing there talking to somebody, they don't know necessarily if you've gotten up to get more something to drink or gone to the bathroom. And this has happened numerous times, and you sit there and you're still talking to yourself and nobody's responding back to you. So I have reached my foot, extended it under the table nonchalantly, trying to see if I'm like, oh, that person's not there anymore,
Oh my gosh.
And you don't think about these things, especially if you've known somebody for years, or before you lost your sight, if these things happen, because they just still think of you in that same way. So telling somebody when you're leaving a room, so that they know the conversation that you're leaving, and they know the conversation is ended, that's kind of
well, if it makes you feel any better, sometimes I just sit there and I talk to myself anyway.
Yeah. Well, but that's okay when it's intentional, because it's intentional. But when you're talking and you're sitting in a restaurant and you're talking there, people.
Yes,
But,
that makes sense.
yeah. And then, one other thing too is also, when you're in a restaurant or out in the community, and if you're with a sighted person, they will many times ask that sighted person, like, oh, what does he or she want? Or they talk really loud to you, thinking that you can't hear because you can't see. So those kind of things, and directions are really over there, over here, that to a blind person, that really doesn't mean much. So if you could be clear, at 1:00, or, your food is at 1:00, or, talk to them, so come to my voice, or go to your left or go to your right, or, using more clear directions is really helpful.
Yeah, that's exactly what I found that fascinating,
Mhm.
because I never thought about that. Like, okay, you're blind, you're sitting at a restaurant, the waiter comes and brings your food and you just eat it, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
like Troy goes, well, it would help to know, if I order a steak, where's my steak?
Where's my steak? Yeah.
Where's the mashed potato?
Yeah.
Where's the veggies? Like, is it at 3:00, 6:00? Where is
Right.
it? Like, I never even thought
Yeah.
about that.
And you have to keep in mind your orientation always, because if you're sitting across, your 3:00 is really their 9:00. So if you say your vegetables are at 3:00 and they go to 3:00 and it's not there, so little things for us, those are big things, so yeah. But that, and I tell a lot of blind people, because I hear the frustrations, and I hear, they don't think I know how to do, or I can't do anything. I said, well, I think there's a lot of people out there, and a lot of good people, and a lot of people who want to help. They don't know how, like you said, they don't know how to help. So I think it works both ways. I think the blind person has to advocate and for themselves, and let that other person, how can you help me? And that other person also has to be respectful and say, do you need assistance? Maybe that person doesn't need assistance, and how can I help you? Instead of
I'm glad you're saying this. I'm glad you're saying this, because my personality,
Mhm.
let's say I was at the supermarket and somebody needs to use the bathroom, but they're
Mhm.
visually impaired, and they kind of see the shadow of me walking by, and they ask me, I would be like, and I realize that they're visually impaired, I would just take their arm and be like, okay, here, let me take you, let's go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I know, ever
And
since I
yeah,
tried.
and
So
you try
do
to you kind of tuck them under your arm.
Yes.
Yeah, and some people, they forget when they're assisting you, they forget, they're trying to use manners and hold the door open, and they kind of try to push you through space.
Mhm.
Well, that you don't know where you're going, and that can be really dangerous, like in a restaurant, and if somebody's giving you a side of guy, but then they're trying to get you through the doorway, and they push you through the doorway, you're in, the blind person now is in front. Well, the blind person could be walking right into somebody carrying a tray or some water or some food, so the person that has sight that is assisting always should be in front, or right to the side, but never behind the blind person, unless if you're walking and you're using verbal commands. But if you're actually using, like I said, like in a restaurant, and you're assisting that person to a table or something, then you want to be the one in front, because it could be dangerous. A kid could be running through, or somebody walking with a tray of food or something. So
Right.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
besides don't grab and drag us, what else are we doing that you're like, oh, I don't like that?
Leaving cabinets open, leaving your
Yeah.
leaving your dishwashers open without telling somebody it's open, because I have gone but I did it to myself because I left it open and like gone right over the dishwasher.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
A really big and a hard thing, if you live with other people who are not blind, is moving people's objects. They put them in place because they're trying, they want to set things up for the morning, or set things up and then somebody else goes and moves and says, well, I think they should go here.
So,
that's really difficult.
Vivian, you and Troy would not like living with. It was like about every 6 to 9 months, I got to move all the furniture in my living room. I got to move everything around. I just need it to be a new angle, something fresh.
Right. Yeah. And I do it too, but if I do it, then I know where things are. So yeah. Wouldn't you agree, Troy, moving people's stuff and any other things?
My shins are all scarred up from hitting stuff.
Yeah. We got rid of a coffee table for that reason. When in our old house we had a coffee table, and I kept hitting my shins on the corner of that table. And when we moved to our other house, I just said, yeah, we really just can't have a coffee table because my shins were tired of running into it,
Well, my husband is not visually impaired. He's, full sighted. And I remember like probably a year after moving into our house, I decided that the fork and the spoon, the utensil drawer needed to be moved, that it would be better if it was, on this other drawer. So I just moved it. And for a good 6 months, man, I got yelled at like for 6 months.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine, if he was visually impaired, how
Yeah. Well, I have a funny story, and this is one of our clients that he was newly blind and he was learning to use his cane, but he was also really at that point where he was just really being dependent, and his wife was being really, really protective and wouldn't let him do much. And we went out to go visit him, and before he would stand up to walk, no, wait. And she would go and move the coffee table out of the way. And then he would walk through, and then she would move the coffee table back to the middle of the floor. And then, when we were in her house and she's, no, wait. And she would go and think to move, So my boss was trying to no, you don't have to move it. We just have to get him with the cane, get him used to where things are. But she would stop him from walking so she could go move the furniture around, because she didn't want him to get hurt, so yeah. But
she didn't know that was her way of showing her love.
Right.
But what she did know, she's actually handicapping him even more.
Right. And he would not, answer the phone. He would give her the phone to answer because he didn't know how to push the buttons to answer. I'm like, no. We have to change that, because wouldn't it be so nice if you could answer your phone? And so just little things like that, goes a long way, and when I then called him back and he was able to answer, they said, oh, your answer. And he was smiling. You could tell he was smiling, like, yeah, I didn't have to give it to my wife to answer the phone for me. I could answer it now and stuff. So little things like that, really can help a person to feel more independent and doing for themselves.
Well, Troy, we were speaking about this the last time. Remember Joy was in here? Joy is also visually impaired, and she's over here on HAPS, and she actually does cooking shows. And she does cooking shows, and she teaches people, the ingredients, and she has she's like an entertainment show. She's not really cooking. We're just kind of like amazed.
Yeah.
But, we were talking about, it was Troy and I and Joey were talking about, how you have to kind of the little things. You equip your home, like, the little
Right.
buttons on the microwave. You have
Exactly.
little dot, or like on your stove where you turn the knob, you have, or your oven, you need to, you can't see it. So you have these little dots that you put on so that, it's like every, maybe every dot is 200 and then 400, 600, however it goes.
Right.
So I just thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and what I find is fascinating too is, that's all stuff that's available. But I love it when I go to somebody's house, and before I learned ways to mark things, I would like take a pair of scissors or a knife and carve in a letter on the top of a spice jar, or I'd roll back the sticker of the ones, or I'd put a piece of the masking tape on the ones that I like, the most frequent that I use. And so I love it when I go to somebody's house and they've come up with ways to mark things, and you'll see little color tabs, the little color dots. They're all, but when they're still able to see colors and stuff, and they put the little color coded dots on their microwave, and they've learned different ways. They have other ways to mark things and to come up with just adapting stuff for their needs. And it's like, if it works for you, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's what works for you, and that you're consistent about things.
So what types of things have you done since you've lost your sight that you have adapted in your home that really helped you out?
Well, I definitely have. I used to have Braille on my at my other home, on my microwave.
What did Troy say? Why is he smirking over there? What are you laughing at, Troy?
Turn on kitchen lights.
Alexa, yeah. Turn off my heater, turn off the TV. And actually, I mean, that is partially why my husband got Alexa, because I could not see our thermostat, to be able to change it. And basically I would just, when in our other house, I would just turn it until I hear the fan come on, and this one was digital. And so he basically got that so that I could have access, and it's on my phone. He set it up with my phone as well, so that I could see what the thermostat was on. And, now it's just too easy to tell Alexa, set thermostat to 66, set thermostat to 68, but I do have the little bump dots now, because when I first got my appliances marked, I had the Braille overlay and stuff. But then I realized I don't use all these buttons on the microwave. I don't need to use all these buttons. I mean, there's a lot of auto start buttons. Some of them have like 1, 2, and 3. If you just touch 1, touch 2 or 3, you're going to get 1 minute, 2 minutes. You don't have to put like 1, 0, 0.
Right.
They have the 30-second button or the minute.
Yes.
So I just started using just those. I don't need the auto cook. I don't need the reheat. I don't need any of those buttons. So now I just have it marked a couple with the bump dots. I have my stove.
That's true. Like on my microwave, I very, very rarely type in 2 minutes. I just push 1 minute, 1 minute.
Exactly. Right. So there's a lot of buttons that you don't need. Yeah.
So VS in the comment, he says that the clapper, it's the Alexa is kind of like the clapper version 2.0. If
That's
you
right.
remember
Turn off. There's actually a new version, and it's called the Show and Tell. And it's got a screen that a blind person could hold, or anybody could hold items up to the screen and say, Alexa, what am I holding? And then Alexa would be able to read it from the camera and identify what it is. But I use a lot of apps. I mean, I use Be My Eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Be My Eyes.
When I do, when I use my crock pot or my Instapot, I use Be My Eyes to just, I have it marked, but as far as where I'm starting, because it usually starts wherever you left off, as far as how many seconds.
Wait, Vivian, you have to tell them what Be My Eyes is, because they don't know what it is.
Okay. So Be My Eyes is an app that is run by volunteers, and it's basically like having another pair of eyes on the end of a camera, and you use your back camera from your phone, and they will help you to identify things. I used them to pair up socks before. I like, do you have time? And I'll put my socks on the table and prop it up on a little easel, and like, do these go together? Because sometimes I have several pairs that are the same. The only thing is different is the color, So it's really just having a volunteer on the other end that's helping you.
Wait, it's a live volunteer?
It's a live volunteer. Yes.
Oh, I did not know that. And that defeats the whole purpose of Punky Brewster on purposely wanting to wear different color socks.
Well, and that's what, I finally said after a while when my daughter was, a few years back, there was, I would order socks sometimes for her and it was called Little Mismatch. And they would send you like 12 in the same like teal and purple and they had stripes and hearts and different things. But that was the idea. You just wore them all mismatched. They were, yeah. So whenever I do have the wrong socks, if I just say, oh yeah, I'm in style, I'm fashionable right now. So yeah.
So I'm going to assume because there is it's pretty much live on demand when you open this app that the
Right.
app there's a certain membership cost, right? Like a month.
No, it is a free app.
It is.
And it is used in most English speaking countries. So let's say I needed to have somebody's eyes, I need to borrow somebody's eyes at midnight. Well, maybe they don't want to call somebody locally, or somebody on the East Coast, so they find it rings somewhere else where it's a little bit maybe earlier in the morning and it's not so like late at night. So it tries to reach out and so that you're taking the time zones into consideration is what I'm told.
So is it just an audio like for the volunteer? It's just like we get to see what you're showing us and then you just hear the audio of us, right? You don't actually get to see who you're talking to.
No.
Correct.
Okay. And then as far as the volunteer, can anybody volunteer? That's what Takara asked.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
And so how do we sign up? We wanted to be involved. How do we sign up to?
I think you could just go to Be My Eyes. There's a link that goes direct that communicates with the guy, the owner, the producer of the inventor of it. And because he's emailed me back on occasion, if you have a call that there's something wrong or my camera was turning off or was shutting off, then he's emailed me back personally. So there is a link in the site that you can speak directly with the person, and you can inquire about volunteering.
Guys, we have to do that. We have to go to Be My Eyes so that we can help out. So, if you're just sitting there, sometimes you're like, maybe if you're just like waiting in line to return something and who knows, maybe someone needed your help at that time and they're able to tap in and you're able to give them, a minute, 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I've used it to look at street signs.
Mm-hmm.
Used it in the grocery stores. But if you download the app on the iPhone, it asks you when you launch it, do you want to be a volunteer or are you visually impaired? So
that's right. When you first launch it, it does. Yeah. Yeah. And it's really good because you can also they have the Microsoft Office, they have a Google websites, the help desk, so you can go right from Be My Eyes. And so if you're having computer problem and you want them, they can tandem in with your computer. It goes right to Microsoft and stuff, but it goes right from Be My Eyes there. But I have used it many times when my computer's not talking to me anymore and I can't get it to talk. I use the camera and I'll just can you tell me what's on the screen and can you do, and so I use it for troubleshooting because sometimes I'm up late at night working and my husband's asleep and stuff. So I will definitely call them up and I have been very successful, or call the Microsoft Office desk from there and it's 24/7 and I use them for all kinds of things. And we're, during this time we have to take our temperature every day. And so I didn't have the infrared talking thermometer yet. So every morning I would turn on my camera and say, can you read my thermometer while I'm taking my temperature? So I have a way to document it and stuff. So there are so many uses for it. I have a few pairs of leggings and most of them are marked, but there's a few that I have several pairs that they have different patterns and colors. And I remember calling this, and I got this one guy and I was like, okay, what is this pattern? Will it go with this shirt? And would you let your mom be seen in this? And he's like, oh no, so I just try to get feedback, or does this go together? Or
any time of the day, have you ever experienced trying to use the app and not have anybody available?
Sometimes you have to wait a little bit longer than others for them to reach somebody, but it's really maybe a minute, if that you have to wait.
Okay.
So it's pretty instantaneously, that somebody answers. And I've really never had a problem with anybody being rude, or they're always very pleasant. And I usually try to
hear, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can you imagine if somebody was on the other side watching and you pulled out these pants and you're like, does it go with my outfit? And they look at it and it's like neon orange and they're like, oh yeah, it totally goes with their outfit. But it doesn't. Is there somebody fact checking this on the other end?
Yeah, I don't know, but the one thing I do tell, because I recommend that app a lot to people, and with anything, when you're virtual and when you're working with people that you don't necessarily know, is just don't have them read anything that has personal data, anything.
Right.
Don't have them read your bank statements. Don't have them read a credit card.
Right.
Because we don't necessarily know who we're speaking with, and
right.
they're all volunteers. There's no background. I don't know if there's background checks, but to my knowledge, there's, so it's just for safety measures, for those kind of things. You might do FaceTime with a family member where, it's who the other person is on the other line, if you need something read. But there's all kinds of apps that will read things for you. There's scanners that will read it right back to you.
Right.
With object character resolution on it.
I'm kind of curious. So how does Be My Eyes, how do they generate money to sustain?
They have a lot of sponsors, but I don't know. I know you can, and when you open the app, you can just have a regular volunteer, or you can get specialized help. And there's different corporations that are part of this specialized help. So I don't know if they're like their big sponsors, but they do have a lot of sponsors because it is free.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so cool, you guys. I'm totally gonna download Be My Eyes, and if I don't know, who knows? Maybe someone needed somebody and nobody's there. But
right. Yeah. It's really a really helpful. It's really great. It is a great way to be able to do service for
Wait, Vivian. Mm-hmm. Besides Be My Eyes, are there other apps that's kind of like it too?
Yes, there's another one. It's called Aira, and Aira, they do train them. Those are not this. I think those are paid individuals. And Aira, they used to use like glasses that would have a camera, that you could wear the glasses with the camera instead of using the camera for your phone. But now it's pretty much works the same, that it's using the camera from your phone. And you can also use them to tandem, to do technology and to, look around. And like Troy said, find when you're crossing a street, or when you're looking for a building or a restaurant, or reading a menu or something. So, but that's a train. I think those are paid positions. But on their website, you can also, that one does say, if you'd like to work for Aira, how to do it. So they do have a link for that you can apply to work with them.
And so, on Be My Eyes, have you? I mean, I don't know how big this network is, but have you ever gotten the same person?
No, I don't think I have. I don't know. I don't think I have. But with the other one, you can get the same person. So the other one it used to be you could get 5 minutes free. But now, because they were really trying to do that as a way to kind of introduce it for people, you could get 5 minutes at a time as often as you want. But now it's really that's more of a paid subscription for time, probably because they are trained and they are employees and stuff. But with that one, you could get the same person. If you hung up and called back within a minute or so, you could get the same person to continue it off where you were, if you weren't quite finished. But I don't think I've ever gotten the same with Be My Eyes, the same person. But
what about you, Troy? Have you ever gotten the same person, you think?
No, I've never got the same person.
Yeah.
So Troy, what types of things besides looking for like street signs, what else have you used Be My Eyes for?
In the grocery store, looking at prices, looking at read the labels on some of the stuff for the ingredients. Did that a couple times. Other than that, that's really all I've used it for.
Yeah.
So you actually don't use it that frequently. It's not like
I don't use it as frequent as she does.
Okay.
He's also got a little bit of vision where I don't really have the vision for printed material, at all. So yeah, that does make a difference. True. Yeah. And my husband was saying there's over 4.5 million volunteers. He's looking at the website right now.
That's amazing.
And now it's 150 plus countries, and it's been expanded to 180 plus languages. It used to be just English, and now it's been expanded to I guess a lot of other different languages. So yeah.
Say
It's
hi
awesome.
to
And there's
Stefan, Uke.
pardon?
I said, Uke, say hi to Stefan. Hi,
Oh
Stefan.
yes. he's in the
are you?
background.
Oh, Stefan is your husband.
Yes, my husband. Yeah, he's in the background. He's behind the scenes.
Oh, is he the one that's been? Is he the one that's been commenting?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I was like, I was kind of like, is that a troll?
Yeah. No, he's been making comments, but there's another really good app and it's called Seeing AI. So Seeing Artificial Intelligence. And that has different channels. It's like having several apps within one app. It allows you to read currency, so money identification. It has a color identifier. It allows you to read barcodes so that you can also see what a label is or what the product is. It allows you to read handwriting, which there are not too many apps out there that will read handwriting. So if you write something, let's say you write a phone number down and you need to go back and be able to read it, you can take a picture of it and it will read it out loud to you. It will also read short text, so you can kind of go through your mail and just kind of like say, oh, like, just get an idea, what is this or what is this or what is this, weed it out. But it also reads documents. You can take a picture of the full document and read it from beginning to end. And it will also detect light. So let's say you have a blind person who doesn't have light perception and they don't know, they have other people going through their home and stuff, and they don't know if the light is on or off. You could turn the light detector on and kind of hold it up towards the ceiling, and then it will make a beep if it detects light. And it will beep louder as it gets closer to a light source. So that's also can be helpful if somebody's like looking for a window or a door, a glass door in a building or something to try to find their way out,
Well, I have it right here.
The Seeing AI one.
No.
Oh, Be
I
My
have it
Eyes.
on my phone, the light detector. Let me.
Oh, the light detector.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me do something on my phone real quick to get it out of here. Okay. Now turn back on light detector. So.
Wait. 18%.
Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, it's a 0%.
0% of light.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yours actually gives you a reading.
12%, 13%, 14%, 15%, 16%.
Can you hear it? Can you hear the tone?
No, I can't hear a tone, but yeah. Oh yeah, now I can hear the tone. Yep. Yeah, as it gets higher in percentage, as it detects more light, the tone goes.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So I've had people that say that their bill is big because they don't know when the lights are on or off because they have other people that live there. So it's a great way for them to go around and see if people have left the lights on, and use those apps.
So a friend of mine, he was totally blind, and he would put his battery for his drill on the charger. Well, he couldn't tell if it was charged or not because it's a steady light when it's fully charged. But when it's blinking, it makes that sound.
That's a great idea.
So that's what he did to do that. That was Ryan that did that.
Oh, okay. Well, we have a friend and he's a member of Sports for the Blind, and he does a lot of woodwork. I mean, he does birdhouses, so he uses all kinds of tools, and he's totally blind, and so there's a lot of people doing a lot of things that are blind, and people are kind of like always with their mouth open, like, oh, I can't believe it, like, wow, so the technology is available, for blind people to do pretty much everything that sighted people do, so except for drive, except that's coming along.
Right.
That's there.
Right.
That'll be there soon.
Well, that's why they have the Tesla, right?
Exactly. It's already. I mean, there's already the cars that drive without
that drive for you, right?
Just drive for you, right?
There's a question by VS, and he says, "I have two relatives that have been blind the majority of their life. Doctors told them recently surgery could reverse it, yet they are scared to return to being sighted and won't get surgery. Would Sports for the Blind and member, I think that's Vivian, make the same decision if they had an opportunity to see again?"
And I was just talking to the people we went walking with today about this. And so I don't think I would go through surgery and go through, because I know there's science out there, there's medical, they've made definitely strides. They can bypass your rods and your cones, and they can inject some dye and have a little receptor in there, and you have a transmitter that you carry, and it can send a message of what it is you're seeing. To me, that's all artificial. And again, this is just my opinion. That's all. And I'm not at that point. I think if it happened naturally, then that I would welcome it again. But I'm also afraid that it was wrong, or you're having to take anti-rejection drugs your whole life, and there's other things that come as a result of that might make my life worse, because my life is not bad. I have a good life, and I live a very full life. I do a lot of things. So if it would at all inhibit any of that, or not allow me to do some of those things and make my health, worse.
The risk, the unknown risk is
the unknown risk. I think I would not.
Yeah.
I would really be leery of doing that.
Yeah, the unknown risk would be, for me, if I was in that position, the unknown risk is too high.
Yeah, because you're putting foreign objects in your body and stuff, and not just when you're putting machines and you're putting robotics in your body to do some of that and some of the certain. Then I am not at that place. But however, I definitely support research and advancements in science and medical. But for me personally, it's not a choice that I would make.
Got it. What about you, Troy? Would you go for surgery?
I've had a lot of different stuff done with my eyes. I've had artificial irises put into my eyes over the top of my current irises. I've had a stem cell implant over the top of my right eye because my cornea was not strong enough to hold the blood vessels out. So that gave me a headache, and I had the headache for about 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like a migraine, but I could take anything and it would not go away. It was constantly there. And most of the time, it worked up to this, but most of the time for the last 2 years that I had it before the surgery, it was at an 8 most of the time, and I'd still go to work. But when it would get up to a 9 or a 10, I just could not do it. It was too strong. I couldn't focus.
Yeah, debilitating.
So when they put the stem cell in, it took like a week, or took a long time for it to grow in, but I had to wear this thing to cover my eye and all that stuff. But anyway, it got rid of my headache. That was the whole point of that, was to get rid of the headache, because that headache was just so intense. I couldn't keep focus on anything for long periods of time. And they finally had to give me tranquilizers it would actually put me to sleep, so that I could sleep, because the headaches would be so bad that I could not sleep.
Yeah.
It was.
And I think that was part of, and I have had like my vitreous, which is the liquid substance in your eye. I've had that removed. I've had my lenses. So that was part of like treating the eye. So it's treatment, and like medical treatment, but not necessarily done just so that I could see. It was because otherwise, like my glaucoma would really, just be out of control, and I'd have other complications. So in that respect, yes, I'm for that, and I've had that kind of stuff. But to go and just be a guinea pig for some of these, procedures that are out there, like I said, to put the little robotics or to put these things, it's like I said, it's not for me. But I'm happy that it's available for those people that are wanting to take advantage of that and have hope that it would work for them. So yeah.
And I personally, I've had a lot of eye doctors look at my eyes and stuff like that. So I don't think it would benefit me. If it doesn't benefit me, then why should I do it?
Right. And I think I'm in that window.
Yeah. I can understand now if I was, let's just say, totally blind. What would it hurt? It's not going to get any worse. So I might do that if I was worse off than I am now.
Hmm. Yeah. While I would love the opportunity to be able to see my loved ones' faces and my friends' faces and expressions, it's also kind of fun to not be able to see them, and you have your own images and your own visions of what you think people look like, and so that's kind of nice too. So
So let's go back here, okay, Vivian.
yeah.
So when we talked about Christina earlier,
Yes.
this, right? So when she first came to our team, our baseball team,
Uh-huh.
she would want to fill everybody's faces
Mhm.
because that's what they did way back
Yeah.
then, is fill everybody's faces to get to know them.
Yes.
So we being Sports for the Blind, we just told her you can't be doing that anymore, right?
Wait, why?
Filling
Well,
faces, she would just go up and start filling your face.
sometimes without asking, oftentimes without
asking,
asking people, just
Oh yeah, you're cute,
Oh no, you have to ask.
No, she didn't ask. So anyway, Stefan used to work down somewhere.
we won't mention where.
And she went in there and she felt up the employee, and Stefan came back to Vivian and said, well, you need to talk to Christina about this. So then she brought it to me, and then we had to take it to Christina and tell her, you can't be doing that anymore.
Well,
But
if she asked,
no, and that wasn't the case. That it was she didn't ask, and it was kind of often a surprise, if you're within arm's reach stuff. And the thing is that was they were taught that, like you feel you can, that's how you can identify and feel which is okay. Like you said, if you're asking, but in this day and age, it's really not okay, and to do that, like to a kid, we were part of the St. Patrick's Day parade, and all of that's so cute. And she reached out to touch the kid. I'm like, yeah, you can't do. I mean, nowadays you just can't. You can't.
wait, I don't understand why. Because you can't see, and you're just touching the face for the features.
However, you don't always know where a person's face is, and if you think of yourself as a parent, and somebody's reaching out and touching your child, that could really cause some problems.
Where were the fingers before?
Yeah, because you just don't know, and it's just that it's the time that we live in that people. It's not okay to touch people. It's just that's kind of the same reason it's not okay to just go and touch a blind person and move them physically.
Mhm.
So it crosses some lines there. It crosses your boundaries and space bubble and all that. And I mean, I used to be a special needs teacher for 20 years plus, and I would hug all my kids. I mean, they needed that hug during the day and stuff. And you know, nowadays, now that I'm a vision rehab teacher, I still am a hugger and stuff, but I just can't like go up to that person and just hug them. I mean, I have to ask, would you like a hug or a handshake? And a lot of times they want that hug and stuff, but just because I'm not comfortable either with somebody just coming up to me, as I don't think you would be in a place somebody that you don't know, and all of a sudden they're
Right.
coming up to you to hug
Right.
you, and so it's just respecting people's boundaries,
Right.
and yeah.
Well, VS in the comment, he says something that just made me laugh. He says, in terms of coming up to people and people feeling your face, he says, I would feel awkward if someone randomly touched my face. #OCD.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So I will just give a little bit more on that story from where my husband worked. This person, they were seated at a table. The person had turned around to do something. So when he turned back, that's when she reached for his face. His mouth was open. So she kind of so yeah. So you don't necessarily know where you're going to be reaching, and her thumb went in his mouth.
I would imagine though, like you would ask someone, can I feel the features of your face? And the person says yes, and then you would put your hands out, and then the other person would take your hands towards your face, right?
And that could be, but we really try to discourage people from doing that unless you're comfortable with a person. But a total stranger, it's just not it's just not the cool thing to do, and it's not the way that we would like to be handled either. You know, I don't want somebody coming up to my face and touching them. You know, even if they ask me, you know, I don't want somebody coming up and touching, you know. So
So how do you say it? Like if someone says, well, you know, a blind person comes up and says, oh, you know, can I feel the features of your face? How do you say, do you just say,
and I
"No,
think
I'm
that's just
sorry"?
a personal, it's got to be a personal comfort level. So, I mean, if you're okay with that, you know, and they've asked you, then that's your personal comfort level and you're okay with that. But some people are definitely not okay with people, you know, um,
Personal
yeah,
space. Yeah.
person, they're just, yeah. I mean, if you think about a conversation, when you're having a conversation with somebody, you know, you kind of stand, you don't stand like right in front of that person, like, I mean, face to face to have a conversation with somebody. So you kind of have to be aware of people's boundaries. You know, think about when you're in an elevator and there's several people, you kind of feel like a little like you're, you know, your space is invaded, right? So it's kind of that, you know, you're right up against somebody or somebody's just reaching, like I said, into your space bubble. It's just, they're just crossing boundaries. If you're okay with that, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
But, and like you said, if they ask, but that was not always the case, you know. She really got, so, and I think part of it was she wasn't even aware. It was just something that she had grown up with, and she would just do it automatically. Like, that's how I'm going to see who I'm talking to, you know. And so I think it just was a kind of a reflex.
So how did the people react when they just got someone's hands is like all over their face? Like, how did they react?
Well, you know, you'd pull back, or they kind of, you know, some of them would go along with it, but you know, you'd have those that they were kind of a little offended and they'd pull back, or they'd be like, you know, they didn't know what to say sometimes, you know. So we just really kind of brought that to her attention a little more and more, and really she stopped doing that, you know. And but she would always, it didn't matter if you were a guy, you know, she was like, oh, I bet you're handsome. You know, she was just always,
oh gosh, what the heck?
Yeah, she was hitting on the men.
Yeah, she liked it, you know, and it was fun for her to, you know.
Say it. She's being a little pervert. She was trying to like, hey.
No, I wouldn't call her a pervert, but it was just her way of flirting with people, you know, because she really didn't do that much to the women. It was more than she was interested to know what the man looked like that she was talking to. So, but we love her and we miss her dearly. She, like I said, unfortunately passed away last year. So yeah. But,
how old was she when she passed away?
64. She just turned
66.
66. Okay, lost a couple years there. So yeah. But no, and it was just nice that she got to be a part of our team and be out there. And there was one game we were in Wenatchee. It didn't matter. She would always hit the ball. She always got a hit.
Oh.
But, you know, she didn't always make it to run to the base. And this was a new team. They were just started, and she hit the ball. And I took off running. And for her, it was a slow run, but she took off. And all of a sudden she falls. And we're like, do we go up and help her? And then all of a sudden she managed to get up by herself off the ground and continue on, like pick up where the sound was and continue on to the base. And so she made a run. That was her first time ever. And so she was just so excited. And I think if we had interrupted that and gone to say, are you okay? And helped her up, and she would have lost out on that moment, you know. And so it was so exciting for everybody, you know, especially her, that she was able to get to the on her own, you know, nobody helped her up and nobody. So that was a gold star moment for her for sure. Yeah.
For those coming into the room, that's not quite sure what's going on. This is Troy right over here, and over here I'll put him on the big screen. This is Troy, and he is the president of Sports for the Blind. And this right here is Vivian, and she is the vice president. And Vivian is completely blind, but she does see light and dark. So she has sensitivity to light. And Troy, how many percentage would you say you have? Like 20%?
What a normal person could see at 450 feet, I see at 20 feet. So it's 2450 is what I got.
Got it. So what we're talking about is just some of the challenges that they face, and you know, overcoming, and the organization that they have, and especially for the blind community or the visually impaired community and what they do and some of the devices that they use to help them out. And this is just all very and things that a sighted person, that you and I who are sighted, our vision is perfect, what we should and should not do. So, and Information Man says, I am a recreational therapist. Very interesting. So
Very cool.
that's what we're talking about for those of you that are just coming into the room.
And we're always looking for people who are wanting to get involved, either by getting a organization or your workplace, people from your workplace or church or families to come out and play. But also, if you just want to get involved with the team and help out with volunteering, come out to the game and pitch, or come out to when we do the skiing and be a guide. So we're always looking for people that are interested. Learning more and being volunteers. So, if you are interested, it sounds like something you might want to be able to do or participate or get a game together. We're always happy to do that. So please reach out to us. Troy has the email, or he'll put it on the screen for Sports.
If you're not even in Spokane, there's other teams throughout the United States, which we do have. I can contact them, and they would probably be glad to, play a game with your organization or business or family members or whatever. Anytime to get out on the field for a lot of these people is the best thing ever, because they feel like they're free to go run 100 feet to a base without a cane, without a dog, without somebody holding on to them, without just themselves full bore. To the base.
So Troy, Information Man wants to know if it's okay for him to join the discussion for a moment.
Sure.
Okay. Information. Okay, there you go. There's your invite.
So and in the way that Vivian and I put this organization together is we don't want to have people feel sorry for themselves that they're blind. We want them to thrive in what we do. They can do anything anybody else can do. We just have to do it differently.
Modified, yes.
You have to do it modified, which you have to do that for pretty much any handicap. You have to modify stuff to work for that handicap. So I really don't consider myself handicapped, but I am. It's just the fact.
Right.
And so is there a comment that Information Man would like to join in and would like to make? Is he on with us?
Information Man, I invited you. I think you know what to do over there. So he's very tech savvy, so I'm not worried about him. He's probably powdering his nose, getting camera ready.
So I can see him. Okay.
So you can see him, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, he says he's a recreational therapist. So, there's probably information that he would like to add that could be helpful. Very interesting.
And I think you had asked earlier about what are some of the things that we're trying to do. And I participate with the Nutrition Education and Physiology Clinic. I'm one of the members there with them. And we've been doing some virtual classes. So we've been talking about maybe doing some virtual exercise times. There's lots of material out there. Nice. There's Blind Alive is a website that is totally geared for blind people, and it's all just described. The exercise programs. There's cardio, there's yoga, there's different ones. But there's lots of right now. This is a great time because we are mostly everything is virtual, so the resources are in abundance out there. So. We are talking about, alternating our Farkle or doing it at another time and offering an exercise program so that people can stay active and everything too. So, yeah.
But now
Information Man.
but now you can do it on HAPS, and then everybody in the world can do it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But there's
Yeah.
already resources out there. We don't want to have to reinvent the wheel.
This isn't reinventing the wheel.
Can we share? We could share a screen that way and do it that way. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
Because you can have 8 people at one time on video.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So Troy, has anybody from your members, or any of your members, have they discovered HAPS?
I got 2 of them on it today, Kelsey and Chris, which I don't
That's
know.
awesome. And this is my first time too. So yeah, yeah.
So is it Chris Fortensky?
Yeah.
Ski.
Okay. So how's your vision, Chris? Are you completely blind, or do you have a percentage that you can see too?
Well, I don't know. I don't think he knows how to get into the string or into the, to come up and talk about it. But we can invite him like next week or something. Or next week.
Wait, is he like you, Troy, where he still has
He
some
can
sight?
see. He can see, but
He says yes, Chris.
from what I understand, if he walks too far, he loses his vision. So like the pressure in his eyes or something. I'm not exactly sure.
He says he can see 3%. I see at 3% is what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want, we can get him on next week and interview him. If if he agrees to that, we can do that for next week.
You can talk to him. You can ask him off. He says yes. He says yes. I didn't want to put him on the spot and be like.
I already asked him. I've asked several people if they wanted to, and most of them said yes. So.
Oh, cool. Cool.
I have a question for you. What did you say your name was? The moderator?
Yuke.
Yuke. So are you always? Is this like your show or your slot or?
No. This is actually Troy's channel.
Okay.
So
okay.
he has his own channel. He broadcasts on his channel. And we have this thing that's called a broadcast studio. And it allows us to, put in photos. If I wanted to upload a short little video to show everybody. So it's very interactive that way. And you can bring up to 8 guests. And, we have the ability to, like I said, show videos. We could take everybody off the screen and just show this pre-recorded video. We can do all kinds of stuff, and it's really cool. And sometimes it's just easier to have, someone that can't see to come in. So like when you were talking, what you didn't see is, this is like a picture in picture, right? You got the big screen and then you have like 2 little screens. So right now, Troy is on the big screen, and then you and I are picture in picture on the upper right corner.
Gotcha.
So when you were talking, what is the husband doing out there?
So it's kind of like a television station, kind of a mini television.
Gotcha. And that's not my husband. I don't know where that interference is coming from. He's actually quiet right now.
That's you. You went running out of the room for some reason.
What the heck? He's out there grinding something. I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, is that your husband? Oh, okay. My husband's being quiet.
That's my husband. I'm like, what are you doing?
Where are we talking to you from? Where are you located?
I am in California, right in the middle of California, right on the coast.
Okay.
So they call it the Central Coast, California. So if you know California, like LA is Southern California, then you have like Santa Barbara. But if you go like 2 hours north of Santa Barbara, that's where I'm at. It's called the Central Coast, right on the water.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Get him. I did. I got him. I yelled at him.
So a lot of these people that are on here are not in Spokane, just so you know.
Okay. Yeah.
They're throughout the United States and
the world. The world.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we broadcast to the whole entire world. It is an app that's been around for about 2.5 years. But kind of had like a soft launch, and it's really in its beta version, so it gets a little glitchy here and there. Sometimes you'll lose
Mhm.
connection. Sometimes the comments are a little bit
Yeah.
laggy, but that's understandable for a beta version. But it's really kind
Right.
of cool to be able to connect to someone that is halfway across this world, and and then to listen to their
Mhm.
accents and stuff. Like for me, some of the accents that are really difficult for me to pick up is like New Zealand.
Hmm.
That accent, or that accent is a little difficult, and like Irish, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
that accent is a little hard for me to understand.
Mhm. Gotcha.
So Chris says that he was a truck driver for over 34 years. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Mhm.
Oh,
Yep.
And
Chris,
he was actually, now this is, I don't want to ruin
Chris,
the
you're supposed to
interview
be like,
next year or next.
Chris, you're supposed to tell us something that they didn't know, because
Yeah,
you know.
we know pretty much everything.
I thought that was like an insight. Did you know I was a truck driver?
we know, we see Chris every weekend on Farkle. He's one of our Farkle members. So yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, he's been with us for 5 years,
4 or 5 years also now. Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So, and after a while, everybody knows everybody, what their vision is and what they can do and what they can't do, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. They just catch on to it.
Yeah. And, you were asking Yuke about, things that you can do, side the side of the community. And really, I think most people, most blind individuals are willing to talk about, what their disability, what their vision is, and a lot of people are they don't want to offend people by asking. But I think that's that, opening the communication and talking to people about, their impairment, what is it that they can see, what it just kind of gets you a little bit inside their world. And because blindness is a big umbrella, it's a big continuum, from people that are partially sighted and they still can see, they're legally blind, to those who have no light perception whatsoever. All that is under the continuum of blindness. Because a lot of people, when they say, you're blind, they go, well, you can still see. You're not blind. It's either a black or white issue for them. You can see or you can't see.
Mhm.
So just opening that discussion and asking somebody, well, what do you mind if I, like you said, do you mind if I ask you, or what exactly can you see? And I think that just helps to broaden, and the perspective of what blindness is, because it's not just totally I can't see or I can see. I mean, there's a lot of gray in between area, so and we're happy for the most part. Most people are happy to talk about things,
Mhm.
because like I said, it just raises the awareness,
Mhm.
so
Well, I'm glad you said that, because it's scary, because we are afraid. Like for me, like when Troy had asked me, like, this is how long ago was this interview, Troy? When I was trying to interview you on your channel, and
Yeah.
my hesitation was, well, I don't want to accidentally ask something that was stupid that maybe come across as offensive.
right.
But I think
What's your answer to that, Vivian? What's your answer to that?
There are no stupid questions. So
That was not prepped either, you.
well, I like I said, I taught school for 20 years, and that was one of our ingrained things, like ask the question. There's no such thing as a stupid question. And that's just how we get to know one another, by asking questions. And it just kind of gives you like a starting point, because otherwise you're, like you said, I don't know what to say. I don't want to, and it's okay to ask somebody about what can they see, or what about, tell me a little bit about your, your blindness, or,
Right.
And most people, I think, are pretty open to talk about it, a little bit, and to give insight. And then it just kind of sparks, like I said, a discussion. It leads into other things, and and you're able to do this, and I do that, or what, So surface, we might be blind on the outside, we might be without sight. We definitely have vision still, and we definitely do everything that a sighted person does. We have the same feelings. We have, so it's just breaking that ice, breaking those barriers down, and talking about things. And I think that just gets people, like I said, to start discussions and to get to know one another, and to understand that, yeah, that's not who we are. Blindness is not who we are. It's just a part. It's just a It's just like having blue eyes or having brown eyes.
Right. Right.
It's a characteristic, but it's not who we are. So, I just think breaking down those barriers and talking about things really helps, people to have an understanding for one another, and not just about blindness, but just about, lots of other topics,
Right.
Yeah.
So to let you know, there's 4 of us on the screen right now. So there's it's like a quad, and so this is the Information Man. I'll let him introduce himself.
Oh, good. He's with us now. He's
Yeah.
all
I'm with you now. Hi, everybody. I'm Information Man. I have a show on the HAPS. I do social commentary, politics, news, talk, things of that nature. But I have something that I wanted to say to both of you and everyone listening. I've been in the field of recreational therapy for over 25 years. I have worked with a vast number of people who have various different gifts, is what I call it. I don't like using the term
Oh, I like
handicap. I don't like the term disability. My term for it is people who have different gifts. And within those gifts, people have special powers, as I would call it. So I used to work when I was living in Berkeley, California. I worked in a program there where we were bridging the gap between bringing kids together who have gifts versus quote unquote what society calls as kids who don't have these special skills. To kind of like to try to break down those barriers, meaning that if kids grow up and they are around kids who have all different skill sets, you grow up and you learn to treat people on an equal level because you've been used. Like, and when I grew up, there were kids in my neighborhood who had all different types of gifts. And whether we were playing basketball or football, whatever, we didn't treat them different. If the kid got tackled, get your butt up like everybody. Get on up, right? That's just how it was. And so as a recreational therapist, there is something incredible about working with people. So we use sports, we use art, we use music therapy, all the different modalities that are out there. I worked in a program in San Francisco at the VA where we were working with people, veterans who had various situations from being in the war, and we would use what you call that, ceramics to help build the fine motor skills and what have you, painting. So people take for granted these simple things. And I have certainly worked with people who have challenges with their eyesight and all those different things. But I like what I'm hearing from you when you said that, hey, don't treat us different. You shouldn't treat people different. Just recognize that everyone is different. Everyone has various different challenges, but you treat them equally as best you can. And that's what we do in the field of recreation, because leisure is important for your spirituality, your physical, your mind, your everything. So I think it's very important that you have games and you do the things that you do, because I think leisure is very important for our mental health and our physical as well.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that I really appreciate what you all are doing tonight, because this is right up my alley. So that's why I'm glad you allowed me to come up and say these words. So I appreciate it.
Well,
Do we address you as Information Man? Is that okay? Or
Yeah,
do we address you
that's
as
okay.
you have a name?
Yeah, I have a name, but that's fine. I have no problem with that. But my primarily focus coming out of school, I went to San Francisco State University, is I have a lot of experience working with kids and children and creating. Have you ever heard of something? It was created in the 70s called New Games. Are you familiar with New Games?
No.
I think I did hear about it. I taught special needs for 20 years, and I think that
Okay.
did come up a couple times.
70s. I'm not that old. Just kidding.
Yeah, that was a creative. Someone came up with these creative outdoor games, getting outdoors, and it's games that allow people to interact with each other, using the old games that we played as children, like tag and all this kind of stuff. So that's very important. And I worked with some kids when I was in Berkeley that were involved in sports, like wheelchair sports and things of that nature. And I'm telling you, a lot of those kids and adults that played in wheelchair sports, they were tough as nails, very competitive. I love it.
Right.
So
Right. Yep. And, you know, I taught special needs for 20 years, and I kind of like the term too, that they're not disabled, they're specially abled or differently abled. But, you know, everybody has different talents and, like you said, different challenges, but we're all people. And I think the world would be a better place if we would kind of buy into that, if everybody would buy into that. It's just the cover that we wear, you know, don't judge by the cover, whether it's a you know, vision impairment or blindness or wheelchair. That's just part of the cover, you know, so get to know each other beyond the cover, go beneath the cover. So yeah, definitely.
I think people should have some experience. When I was in college, our instructor had us spend time. We did an exercise where we had to utilize a wheelchair around the campus for a week.
Yeah.
To see what is it like to be. I mean, you're never gonna really know what it's like because if you're not in that person's shoes, so to speak.
Right.
But in my classes when we did that, I came away with a different ideology or way of thinking, because what I found out is just how challenging it was for a person in particular that's in a wheelchair to get around a campus and use the bathroom and all these different things on a campus that was pretty modern and called itself a campus that was up to ADA code. And I said, my God. And so I think sometimes we need to have those experiences, or at least get an idea, if best we can, what people may be going through. Because you're never really going to completely know.
And that's why when people come out and play baseball with us,
yes,
that's one of the reasons why we have them wear blindfolds, so that they know what we are like, I guess.
Yes.
They can experience.
Or when we're bowling, we'll put a blindfold on on the bowlers, you know.
Yes.
You know, just different stuff so they can understand, you know, okay, so let's just say, okay, you wear a blindfold around your house for a day to see if you can actually do everything you do now.
Yes.
For one day, from when you wake up in the morning until you go to bed, blindfolded. You know, it's just a challenge.
Right.
Just see if you could do it. If you can do it, great. If not, you can't. But
and at the end of the day, when you say enough is enough, you can take it off. People that live with that are blind can't take it off, you know? So, but yeah, just getting to know people on a personal level, and not, like I said, not by the cover or by, you know, a characteristic, you know, but just get to know them as people and realize that we're all in this world together. And even though we're an organization for blind people, and this is really one of my, I guess one of my flagships is I don't want to be considered an organization just for blind people. And that's why we have cited not only volunteers, they've become our good friends, but we have, you know, when we're out there playing baseball, we don't just have blind people playing, we have sighted people, you know, because I like to be inclusive and include people in different activities. And I don't want to say, well, we're strictly a blind organization and only blind people can come and bowl with us, or only blind people, because there are several organizations that exist that are just that. And by doing that, we're kind of doing the reverse of what we're hoping to do. And that is inclusivity and just being a part, you know, participating in the world as just an everyday normal person, being a part, being inclusive all together, you know. So that's kind of what I really, that's, like I said, that's my flagship, and that's my mission with this organization to move forward, is that we include everybody, you know, people that want to come and try it out, regardless. They don't have to be blind to be a part of our organization. So, yeah.
Right. Well, Information Man just stepped away for a minute, so he must have had something interesting. So I'm sure he'll be back. He's still on the camera. He's just stepped away.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been really interesting. Yeah, when Troy asked me, do I want to come on tonight, I had really no idea what was going to happen. I just said, okay, you know.
Yeah, we're a good bunch of people here.
And you said that there's only 8 people allowed at one time on the screen, or in the...
on the camera. On the camera, they allow up to 8 people, which I think is too many. If you actually, I have seen some broadcasts where they have 8 people and everybody is just over talking one another, and you just like for me, it's just a little too much, and some people don't know when to be quiet. And you imagine, 5, 6 people all going at talking at, you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Does it-
Information Man, do you have any questions for Vivian or myself
Um,
specifically? I mean, anything you can ask. I'm just,
Well-
anything.
the most important thing that I could ask is the question I would always have is, what is the experience what is it that you experience? We have something in the profession called being in the flow experience. Being in the flow where things are just happening naturally, you're feeling good, your mind is completely focused in the activity that you're doing. When you're involved in the sport, how is it making you feel emotionally? Because leisure, like I said, is very therapeutic. It's very good for your health. Everything that you're doing encompassing leisure is completely important for us in being well-rounded as a person. What is the experience for you?
Troy?
It's a good second. Well, for me, it's not particularly for me. It's for the other people that are doing whatever I'm doing, making them feel like they can do it. They can do whatever we're doing. They can do it on their own.
Mhm.
It's not really. It makes me happier seeing other people do it instead of myself do it.
Okay.
And for me, along that same lines, building people's self-confidence and independence, but it's also a sense of belonging. I mean, we're a community amongst ourselves. We don't have to explain our differences or what, we're just out there to have fun and to socialize, and we really are like family to one another. And I think for me, that's really great, because I moved here from where my family lived and stuff. And even though I have, relatives here and they're very supportive, these guys really are, whether we do things together. I mean, so I didn't have that necessarily when I moved here. And so they have become my family here too, my family, they go to work and everything. So it's just like we play together, we do, so that's, for me, it's just that sense of community and belonging. Yeah.
Right. And play is very important. That was the reason why I kind of asked that question, because it's really about community. It's really about connecting with people. And that's what these sort of activities allow you to do. Because quite often we're in a society that tends to believe that people who have these special gifts are sort of isolated. They should just be isolated over here, or they're just not a part of society because of A, B, and C. And what it does is it engages you in society and engages you in your community and those around you, and you build community and you build long-lasting relationships.
Yep, that's true.
And being visually impaired, just so everybody knows, I mean, I can see you guys and it's all blurry, right? But it's not the outside of, like she was saying, it's not the outside of the book. It's the inside out for me.
Inside out.
If you treat me like crap, well, I don't have to deal with you. You don't have to be around me. And if you treat me nice, I'm going to treat you nice, and then we're going to become friends, and then, so on and so forth. So it's the inside out for me. How you are a person to yourself and to others, that's how I become, I guess, friends with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So Troy, do you remember you were telling me, I was asking about beep baseball and how freeing it was to just run with no hesitation, and the feeling of just running towards the base with full trust. Like, explain that feeling, because that is something that I, as a sighted person, we're not going to get to experience that, to have that much trust, to just freely.
Well, right now, I mean, it's been a year and a half since we did this, but I've ran to the base several times now. So now it's not as big of a deal as when I first started. When I first started, I was like, did it, you know, and I was happy, I guess. I was surprised I could do it, that type of thing. Like Vivian said, you want me to run to a base that far away? It's kind of exhilarating, I guess. But since I've done it so much, it's not as exhilarating. It's exhilarating for me to see. Let's just say, you, or anybody put on a blindfold and see you run that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more exhilarating to me now than me doing it, because it's like your freedom is what it is to me.
Hi, Frank. So Chris says it's scary the first couple times.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, yes, says
It is.
try, aka Speedy.
Yeah.
And we had this one guy, he actually is in California now, but he could just fly to that base, like no fear. I don't even know if he ever was afraid the first time, but he would just fly. You would never know he was blind, because he could get to that base like in under, like right around 5 seconds, really fast.
It was
And
like
he would just
4.5 seconds in a
4.5, and then he would just tackle that, and he was not afraid at all. And it was just like, yeah, you just kind of like, oh wow, I wish I could do that, but I have some reservations of trying to go that fast or tackle. You every once in a while you still have, if the wind is blowing or you have external noises and you're trying to focus on a sound and you're not able to really pinpoint where that sound is because it's getting muffled, or the wind is, and you're just like hoping that, I hope that fence doesn't come in front of me, or that a tree, or I'm totally veering and going towards the wrong base, and those things happen. I mean, they do, but it is just a really kind of a different kind of a freedom, a different kind of a feeling, especially if you haven't been able to, like, I didn't do free running. I mean, I would walk with people. We would do, I did part of a marathon, Beach to Bay, like a kind of like our like a marathon, half a marathon, walkathon, runathon. And I did it with sighted guide. But when you're out there and you don't have that, and you're able to run around and move around the field and run towards a sound and try to find the ball and get to the base and score. Yeah, it is. It's really kind of invigorating, and that you feel. To me, I feel like I'm not even blind out there sometimes, because we're just so used to running around, catching the ball,
Yeah.
and it just feels normal now. Like that we're out there. I mean, we've been doing it for quite a while now and stuff. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it is. It really is.
That's the key. When you were saying that you're in such a routine with it that you don't see yourself as quote unquote visually challenged or what have you, because you're getting so caught up or so enriched in the leisure experience and the flow of the experience that is making you feel very good.
Right.
And that's exactly what you want people to do when they are involved in leisure and recreation and these type of activities, is that you want to take yourself to a place where you do not put any you don't put any barriers on yourself in that process. So that's really where you want people to go, to be able to go forward from these social constraints.
Yeah, well, live a very full life,
And I think for the most part, I mean, most of us, we live a full life. We we work, we play, we raise our families. I think we do.
So, Troy, VS does have a question. He says, do you have any more sports in mind to start, like basketball, volleyball, etc.?
We're always looking for new sports to try. Like I said, the last one really was the kind of the soccer that we introduced, and we're trying to get younger kids. But we are. I mean, we've, like I said, I don't know if you joined us late, but we started with just baseball, and now we have bowling in our off season. We've done tandem biking. We've done cross country skiing, kayaking, goal
Disc
ball.
golf, disc
Oh yeah,
golf.
disc golf. Yeah, disc golf. You know,
Mhm.
and even if it's just giving the person exposure, we might not have a team. We might only have it once or twice a year, but just exposing them to the different activities. You know, snowshoeing. So there's just lots of avenues out there. Anything is possible. You know, if we hear about it and we get a interest in it, yeah, we might bring it to the team as another sport. You know,
Mhm.
so
Well, so Troy, you said that, you kind of like don't have that exhilarating feeling running to the base anymore. So I am proposing that the next thing that you do is, just go jump out of a plane and, what do you think about that? Free
I,
falling,
100%.
I
man.
want to do that, but I don't
It's
think
cool.
my guide dog would like it.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have an instructor on your back, so and he'll help you. He'll nail the landing.
Yeah,
I draw the line.
Mhm.
he's kicking.
Yeah, I'm a flatlander. I like to have my feet in contact with the ground.
Well, certainly find something that's challenging for you, Troy. Something that you haven't done before. Maybe something a little bit more safe than jumping out of a plane. Depends on.
Hey, jumping out of a plane is safe.
My husband said he'll take you rock climbing, Troy. So beware.
Oh, hey, I've never been.
and
Rock
I would
climbing
just
is
say,
way more dangerous than jumping out of a plane because if your first parachute doesn't open, you have at least a second parachute.
That's
well,
true. Rock climbing, you're right
it's in
about
a
that.
climbing gym, so it's got the pads
Yeah.
and stuff that you, yeah.
Right.
But I will also say on Troy's behalf, I mean, Troy also, I mean, he's the coach, so that puts him in a different, from a different perspective sometimes. And he wants to make sure everybody gets out there and gets to play. So he doesn't get to play as often because he wants to make sure everybody else is out there playing and getting their time in to play and stuff. So he often just does the coaching part of it
Yeah.
now, because we
Mhm.
do have more members and he wants to make sure that everybody's out there having a good time and everybody's having that experience that he used to experience, when we first started. So yeah, so that's really big of him to sit back a lot of times and just be the coach. So yeah.
Well, I think though the joy comes from that. A lot of joy comes from that is seeing other people enjoy,
Right.
and I don't know. I mean, I don't know anybody that's visually impaired, but I've learned quite a lot, and I'm so amazed at some of the things that you guys are still able to do. Like Troy says that he still like chops wood on the saw, and I'm like, what do you mean? You're visually impaired. You can't be touching that saw. You could saw your hand off. And I mean, the honest truth is, he could probably build a whole house, and being visually impaired.
Mhm.
And in my mind, I had no idea. I in my mind, I just think, oh wow, it's very challenging. Everything is going to be very challenging.
Mhm.
But you're talking to Troy, like learning about measuring cups. In your kitchen, if you're cooking a recipe and it's just 2 cups of chicken broth, they have measuring cups that tells you 2 cups. I never would have known any of this. So this is all just very fascinating for me.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I'm going to get off the panel, but I want to say thank you for allowing me to come up. I was actually inspired by what I was hearing because it's right up my wheelbarrow. I've worked with people in these areas. And just like yourself, Troy, I've been involved in sports programs and I've worked with kids who have various challenges, and I try to get them over that hump of taking on new challenges, and seeing them achieve and excel is a really good feeling.
Okay, so before you leave, I got one question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, when we run into visually impaired kids,
Yes.
who want to do sports or whatever, any kind of activity, bowling, baseball, usually their parents are afraid that they're going to get hurt. And
That's
it's hard
exactly right.
it's hard to talk the parents into letting them play because they don't want their baby to get hurt, which I understand. But have you had that issue with your position, I guess, from what you do?
From my perspective, when I work with dealing with parents, it's been my experience that the parents have been more concerned about how their kids are going to be treated and perceived by other kids who may not have those sort of challenges. That is why I think it's important. A lot of times in school, they'll separate kids who have these various different gifts and challenges. I think they should not do that. I think they need to intermingle the kids so that young people grow up, as I was saying before, and have a certain respect and an understanding of people who have different challenges. So they grow up, it becomes a norm. I think we need to normalize it so that it becomes no big deal. Like I said, I grew up in a neighborhood where we had kids that had all different kind of challenges, and they played basketball and football, and we treated them like anybody else. You got knocked on the ground, get up, like we would say to anybody. We didn't treat them different. That was just the kind of neighborhood. I'm 51 years old. That's the kind of neighborhood that I grew up in, where everybody just treated you like everyone. Because it was a nurturing environment. We didn't exclude anybody. And plus, the kids I grew up with who had challenges, they would tell you they would tell you off if you tried to exclude them.
By the way, information man says he's 51, and I know you can't see him. He looks like he's like 35. He looks like a baby.
Yeah, I get that all the time. But that was my biggest challenge, is the parents being concerned. But once we were able to get them past that concern, everything sort of worked out. And what we also did, which is very important, is that we had focus groups. I found out when I was living in the Oakland, Berkeley, California area, there were a lot of parents that were looking for programs for their kids, and they didn't realize, and they weren't a lot out there. So when we did the focus group, we found out that there was a need for what we were offering. And so I think it's just very important. You break down those barriers.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Oh, yes.
We went out to grade schools, and there was one visually impaired kid that she wanted to show her I think it was her 5th grade class or whatever, that there's goalball or there's baseball. So we went out there and we did that for the school, and they let all of the 6th graders, which was really crazy, into a gym. And we're trying to show them this, and there's 70, 80 kids in there, and you're trying to explain it to them a little bit so that you can kind of get playing it. And yeah, it was a hard process to do.
Yeah,
you control 80 kids, and when you're playing blind sports, you have to use your ears, and kids, they don't like to be quiet, so everybody's talking, and stuff like that. So it was just a learning experience for them, which is fine and whatnot. But it's all good.
Right. Well,
You're
I enjoyed the conversation.
Yep.
I'm going to get off the
coming
panel and lay down, but I'm going to continue listening to the conversation. And I also want to say that this particular app, I think, is fantastic. I like the way people are very friendly to each other on here. People are very supportive. That's what I've noticed in the short time that I've come on board this platform. And I like how people are conducting themselves and treating people. And I like what the folks that put this together, I like the approach and what they're doing with this. I think this is a big win-win, because I think it's incredible to be able to get to galvanize a lot of the people in your social media to a platform like this, because there's some people who don't. I'm a YouTuber as well, and there's some people who are on Facebook who don't like using YouTube, but they like using Facebook or Twitter or whatever. And so now you're getting people where they are and what they like. And the same thing goes when you're dealing with sports, with people who have various challenges. You want to deal with them with where they are, but then challenge them to bring them to a whole nother level as well. So have a good night, everybody. I appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thanks,
Thank you, too.
information man. Thank you. Have a
Okay.
wonderful night.
Actually, I'm going to have to sign out too. My husband's been waiting to eat dinner. So this has been fun. And hopefully we'll be back on again another time. And thank you, Yuke. It was nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you.
Nice
Yeah.
to meet you too.
Now,
Thanks
how do
for
I
being here.
exit out of here?
Oh, we'll just give you the boot. Don't worry about
Okay. All right. See you later, Troy.
Thank
and
you,
Chris.
Yeah,
Vivian.
see
Have a
ya.
wonderful night.
You too.
Okay. Is she gone yet? No.
Yeah, well, the way that
Okay. All deaf for.
well, it'll kick you out. It takes a minute there. She just left.
She
It
just
takes a minute, Troy. Did you notice that? Like
I
it used to be like the minute you boot them, they're out, and now they kind of hang around for a little bit, and it's a little like, are you leaving? Are you leaving?
So, well, thank you, Yuke, and thank you,
Yeah,
Information
no.
Man, and thank you, Vivian, for the interview. And
Chris says kick her.
kicker, yeah, we did kicker.
So,
So,
Troy,
go
if you're looking for your numbers, you are at 303. So if you're doing your HAPS challenge, you are good this week.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if I put that in my hashtag or not.
Oh no, you don't need to hashtag it. Once you're in it, you don't have to tag it anymore. So you're good.
So thank you, Yuke. I hope that was fun. And next week, Chris said he would come on. So maybe about the same time, maybe next week. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're good with that?
Yeah, 7:00 is
Yeah,
7:00 works. 7:00 works. The conversation was food to my soul. Yeah. So VS wanted to. The question he said was, she didn't offer us any dinner.
Yeah.
It's
So-
dinner. This is a late dinner for me. It's dinner time for me too.
Yeah, I haven't eaten dinner either, but a joke between her husband and myself and her is I'm the baseball husband. Yeah, so
That's cute.
of course,
You're a good host. Thanks, Chris.
he's divorced me a few times on baseball.
All good though. And Takara says thank you. That was great.
Oh, thank you for joining, Takara.
Thanks, Takara. All right, you guys. I'm
All
gonna
right.
I'm gonna take off. Susan, if you want, you can catch the replay. We're actually on our way out. Thanks,
in a couple
Takara.
hours.
Thanks. And Chris, it was nice to meet you. And Vivian, it was nice to meet you too. And then also Information Man, thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate you guys. And I'm gonna check out. So
Okay, thank you, everybody, and watch a replay if you need to.